Good day, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of Youth Voices for Sustainable Development. I'm your host, Hala Hamza from the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, joining from the United Arab Emirates with my co-host, Sirivennela.
Hello everyone, this is Sirivennela joining from St. Francis College for Women. I'm currently in my second year pursuing BSc Honours Software Engineering. In today's episode, we'll be talking about a very important and a very urgent issue, gender equality or SDG 5.
In this episode, we're going to explore how gender equality looks in our own countries, what's changing, what's still a challenge, and what young people like us can do to push for a more equal future.
Let's start off by understanding what gender equality actually is. Gender equality refers to providing and ensuring equal rights and opportunities to everyone in all aspects, such as education, jobs, and in personal opinions. There should be no stereotypical or traditional biases in men and women. We would also like to mention that gender equality in this constant does not mean that men are better than women or women are better than men. Rather, it means that everyone should receive equal chances to succeed.
Yes, exactly. So I think why gender equality important today, because when half of the community is held back, which is women, I think the whole population will suffer and it will just lack of so many things. And actually, there's studies that shows that with more gender equality, we have stronger economic and better education system, and that's actually really true.
Yes.
It's also about how being fair, equal, giving both of them equal chances to success, giving them the right a chance in different aspects, different areas in life, and to make them feel that they deserve this and they can do very well.
Yes.
In their field.
And one of the countries, if we can take it as an example, is Iceland, when we're talking about gender equality and how there's a very less gap in gender discrimination. And we've seen throughout history and throughout century how gender equality can affect and how men are more dominant and women are more submissive throughout the century. And we are living in the 21st century right now. We should be able to raise awareness and we should be able to talk about these issues because we should deconstruct all of these stereotypical standards and hope for a better future. Since India's independence, there has been a lot of major programs focusing on the gender equality in various aspects. On the political front, we have the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment, which introduced one-third of reservations for women in both government bodies. And in the recent Constitutional Amendment, which is in the 2023 Constitutional Amendment, 106th Constitution, which introduced the reservation for one-third reservations, particularly for women in national and state legislatives. I think this marks a groundbreaking step towards enhancing the political representation. And there are also various policies and programs in other sectors. For example, the very popular Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program aims to improve the child-sex ratio and promote girl education. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Act ensures that the significant portion of the job is also reserved for women. This ensures and guarantees their active participation in the workforce. When talking about safety and security, we have the Nirbhaya Fund Finance initiative aimed at protecting women.
Yeah, Siri, I have a question for you. How do you see it in daily life? How they're applying these rules in India? And what do you think?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Like I mentioned before, the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program, it is a very popular program going throughout the India, and it is to ensure that the child sex ratio is improving a lot, because previously a lot of Indian families have this stereotypical mindset wherein they did not want the girl child, they only preferred having the boy child. But once the program started, there has been a significant changes in the mindset specifically, because there has been a lot of campaigning going around, there has been a lot of protests. This has been all over social media. So creating that form of mindset has been very important to this change.
Yeah. Let me take you now about also how the United Arab Emirates is actually showing gender equality. Let me start. Since the formation of the UAE, the woman has been a very important part and very important role of the country. And the UAE established a Gender Balance Council and achieved near equal representation in the parliament. 50% they were women, and it was ranked first in the Arab world for gender equality. UAE is a very well-known country in the Arab world, in the Middle East, as it has gender equality, and the women, they take lead, and they have a high representative in the country. And yeah.
Thank you for the information, Hala. Actually, I have a small question for you. I've seen all over social
Yes.
media that UAE was a very safe country for women, and how it is safe to walk around at night and they don't feel the pressure, or they don't feel unsafe walking around at night.
Yeah.
What is the actual on ground reality, and do you actually feel safe walking around?
Actually, since I've been living in the UAE for 10 years now, it's the one thing that I love about the UAE. It's like my number one thing, safety. It's safe for all genders, all ages. Like what you see on social media is nothing compared to reality, because reality is way better actually. Safety here is amazing. You can walk at like 3 a.m. in the morning. If anything happens, police can get to you within seconds. But everything is monitored. You can walk safely at night. You can have your own rights without being afraid of anything. So yeah, what you see on social media is definitely true about the UAE.
That is really great. I think all of the countries should have such policies which protect women.
Let's talk about how it's visible in our countries. Let me start with UAE. In the UAE, women, they dominate in higher education but are less represented in private sector leadership roles. So there are a lot of them in the higher education, but we don't see much of them in the private sector leadership roles. But of course, the UAE is working on that, and it's improving daily. Can you share what do you think in India is happening?
Yes, sure. In India, it's more about the it's not just about political, rather it is about the families and the household situation in India. That is where there is a lot of gender gap going on. For example, in households, women are expected to work all day and maintain their job, take care of all the kids, and also cook 3 meals a day. That is usually the role, and men are just
Yeah.
have to go around and they just have to do the work. That is usually the roles in Indian households. And when talking about men are not really encouraged to express their emotions, and women here are considered overly sensitive. I think that is a very major difference we find among the genders. And when talking about employment, there are also a lot of inequalities. We see a lot of inequality in the gender in employment terms as well. For example, the nurses are usually women, female. We don't see a lot of male nurses. And when talking about defense or police sectors, there are mostly men working in that sector. There's been recently,
Yeah.
like very recently, there has been a change in this policy and in how people are viewing this. But since decades, this has been how it works. In policies and in police areas and in defense areas, there is mostly male domination going on. And something that I would like to mention is the traditional dowry system in India, wherein the bride's family has to give the groom's family a certain amount of money or gifts to when the marriage is happening. This puts a lot of pressure on the bride's family. So I think there is where we see a lot of inequality in India.
Yeah. I think because maybe society expect different things from men and women. And like even here in the Arab world, in the UAE, it's still there at some point that they say, oh, you're a woman, you're supposed to do these duties, you're a man, you're supposed to do this. Like you said, men are not supposed to show emotions. They see it as a weak thing. But for the new generations, they're actually changing. Like after social media and like learning and getting to know people, it's getting normal. You know, they're normalizing these things. But I think, yeah, till this day, still the society expect different things from both genders. Let me ask you a question. Do you think and believe that gender equality is improving faster among young people than older generations?
Yes, definitely. As we discussed previously, we just mentioned that it is improving a lot with social media and the new generation coming up. That is because people have seen how it has been since centuries. They have seen how their parents are working towards it. And seeing all of these live examples and seeing how social media is changing towards it, and seeing how social media is trying to promote gender equality, trying to say that both of the genders are equal. I think this has been a lot of shift in the mindset. I would say not really practical implications. Rather, there is a lot of shift in the mindset, at least among the youth.
Now, let's go and thank our two faculty that helped us to make this happen and welcome them to this podcast.
From India, we have Mr. K. Ravi Kumar, the head of Department of Mass Communication and Journalism.
Okay, and from the UAE, from the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, we have Dr. Sabir Haque, and he's also an assistant professor of the mass communication in the university. Let's welcome them. Hello.
Hi, Hala.
Can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay.
Hi Ravi, hi Hala. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hello, Dr.
Hi, Dr.
Sabir.
Sabir.
It's great to see Ravi and Shri together, and I'm pretty sure that you had a very interesting discussion today. I would like to thank Ravi for being a great partner in this particular effort, and I believe that our time together in the Arizona State University has led us to this particular point, and I'm really glad that we were able to have a dialogue between India and the UAE when in talking about the gender equality. So I'm open for any questions that you might have.
Okay, let me start first. I would like to ask both of the faculty, what role do universities and educators play in shaping gender equality for the next generation?
I'll let Ravi answer
Yeah.
first.
Sure. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Sabir for this wonderful collaboration on producing the podcast series. With regard to the question, the roles the faculty or the associate professors or assistant professors play in bridging the gap or teaching the next generations how to fight gender biases. First, as a faculty, we need to create a safe classroom space for students where the discussions around gender bias, gender stereotypical mentalities has to happen. When we create such safer places, awareness grows in them. Secondly, we need to share stories of women, especially, and even men, the inspiring stories who went beyond beyond these difficulties, who fought for their rights, who fought for their freedom, especially the women. When such stories are shared, the motivation becomes bigger among women to fight against their odds. And thirdly, I would like to stress upon teaching the gender equality benefits everyone is crucial, not only for women, it's even equally important for male in today's context where jobs, employment opportunities, we find a lot of discrimination in this. So teaching both male and female is very important. The another way that I look at is bring some sort of conviction among men, especially, not to look at women from the old school. Things have changed. No, men have to change a perception, the way they look at the passing on of the traditions, customs should not come into the picture of the new generation. These are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think those are really valid points, and I completely agree with every single point you made. I love the whole fact that it's important that we celebrate the women and give them the due recognition. I think women has been able to break the glass ceiling for a long time now, and I think they are at equal footing with the men. And I can say with a lot of conviction that in UAE, women has been able to lead from the front. I think from the founding father Sheikh Zayed, when he outlined what role women should play at home, at office, the role that they are the builders of the nation. I think that really resonates with every single person who lives in the UAE. we look at women as nation builders, and I think that holds true for India as well, where I come from as well. So I think we have to give that recognition and celebrating women, and I think it has to be done, without any reservations. I also want to mention that there are lots of area that needs to be covered. I feel that women's role in STEM education is something which UAE is working very hard, and I think there has been a lot of effort to bring women into sectors which are not usually seen to be a sector for women to work in. So we have an equal opportunity for women in different sectors. So I think STEM education is somewhere that UAE is working really hard, and I believe that the next generation will definitely overcome those limitations. That's what I feel from what my perspective about UAE and in India in general as well.
Yes, sir. I completely agree with both of your perspectives. I think viewing society in this way would definitely make a lot of impact in this particular topic. And we have a next question for Ravi, sir. In your views, what are the biggest cultural or social barriers to achieving gender equality today?
The biggest barrier that I can see is the deep rooted stereotype mentality that exists today. Simple beliefs like men are breadwinners and women are caregivers. They look simple, but in practice, uh, it's very hard to accept. Today, women entrepreneurship is growing in India and especially in Telangana. There are certain schemes which supports this. So women are also entering into entrepreneurial efforts. So in that sense, this particular stereotypical mentality doesn't hold any water. So, but still, it is deep rooted in the minds of people. The second one is unequal access to education and skills. In many regions, especially in Telangana, no, we have a rural belt, more rural belt. Still, people lack access to education and skills. So this also broadens
Yes.
the gender disparity. Okay. The third point I
Yeah.
would like to stress is workplace discrimination as well. Very, very vividly seen in terms of uh, pay gaps. In terms of pay gaps, you take any profession for that matter. I can vouch for it in the field of journalism, where men are paid higher than uh, the women, even in the responsibilities. Who are holding leadership roles? It is men. Women are considered only for supporting. This is the
Yes.
another challenge that we experience, and of course we know violence and harassment against women. Every corner it is present, offline as well as online, various forms. So these are few thoughts on this particular topic.
Yes, totally agree. As professors, what can you do to teach the next generation to get rid of gender biases and maybe try to raise awareness among your students?
No, I think Ravi mentioned it at the very beginning. Is that as professors, we have to make a classroom a safe place. I think it's very important that that how we want our students, both men and women, to behave in the workplace. If they understand the culture and they believe in a particular culture where we respect each other, I think if we are able to do that in the classroom, I think they will become. I think they will take that outside the classroom as well. And I personally feel that we have a huge responsibility in empowering our women, not to put invisible barriers in front of them. Sometimes it is not visible, sometimes it's invisible. Things that you cannot do. It is not sometimes outrightly said, but it is implicit, right? So I think as faculty, we have to make sure that our girls are the women in the class who are eventually going to go out in the workplace, they are well prepared, right? They have the
Yeah.
confidence and they have the ability to to face any kind of situation, in terms of how they will deal with and I think that has to be imbibed into them in the classroom itself. So I think we have a huge responsibility.
Yes, sir, I completely agree with that.
Totally agree.
And from your experience, can you share some instances where you witnessed or faced external pressures from society in terms of gender discrimination?
I think one thing which I definitely want to mention is, because I come from the media industry, and I see this in the UAE as well, and not only media sector but other sectors also. I feel that there is a certain kind of stigma for women to join certain sectors. It is because what the society feels that a certain role women should not do. For example, I want to give an example of Khaimah. So Khaimah is in the news now because of this huge progress that's made in the hospitality sector. So we have some really big names, big hotels, and a lot of action happening in that sector. Now, to get a good participation of the local Emiratis here, we have to make sure that there's a stigma around, for example, the hospitality sector, and I think that needs to be broken. So we had interviewed some of the leading people from the industry, from the hospitality industry, who were local Emiratis, and we wanted people to get inspired the fact that this is a sector where they can make a big difference, and they can participate in the nation building as we speak. So I think this is very important for to make sure that we break the social stigma around certain job roles that women are usually limited to, and I think that holds true for a lot of women in the UAE as well.
Thank you so much for your insights, and thank you for joining us today in this great episode. And thanks for our viewers and listeners for watching us, and see you in the next episodes.